Welcome back. Zach here. This morning, Sunday, August 16th, 2015, one of the big stories is a plane that was reported missing temporarily, and now it's been said that it crashed into the mountains, reminding us of the Germanwings flight from March of this year that was supposedly crashed by a suicidal pilot. I've already done the math on this incident. If you're new to my work, I talk about numerology and gematria and how the mainstream media is actively hoaxing us with almost all of their stories. And at the end of the day, all of their stories break down to coded numbers and routinely the exact same numbers. So let's just begin by reading this. We'll also watch the mainstream coverage at the end, but let's just read CNN's reporting on the incident. Then I'll show you what a big joke this is. So, Jakarta, Indonesia. The Trajana Air Service plane that went missing Sunday has been found, Indonesia's Director General of Air Transportation, Suprisetyo, said during a news conference. The wreckage was found in the Oktabi district of Papua province, he said. Details are still being verified, Suprisetyo said, but villagers reported seeing the plane, which was carrying 54 passengers and crew. Remember that number 54, true secret's going to be huge in this one. Search and rescue teams that suspended their efforts Sunday will conduct aerial and ground searches Monday to confirm the villagers' reports, he said. The domestic flight lost contact with air traffic control in Papua province Sunday afternoon, the nation's search and rescue agency said on Twitter. The flight left Sentani Airport in Jayapura at 2:22 p.m. and was scheduled to land in Oxbow at about 3:16 p.m., officials said. Notice that from 2:22 to 3:16 is 54 minutes. 2:22 to 3 is 38 minutes, plus 16 more, 54. The plane lost contact at about 2:55 p.m., Transportation Ministry spokesman J.A. Barata told CNN Indonesia. And notice that 2:55 is 33 minutes after takeoff, number often coded into the hoaxes. The plane was carrying 44 adult passengers, 5 children, and 5 crew members. The search, which involved forested and mountain terrain, was called off because weather and lack of flight made an already dangerous landscape more problematic. With regards to the number 44, remember that if you write out 44 in Summit and Gematria, it sums to 144. It was 144 passengers that crashed into the Alps with the suicidal pilot. Remember, the suicidal pilot was named Andreas Lubitz, initials AL. His co-pilot was named Patrick Sonnenheimer, ALPS. Their names, their initials together formed ALPS, where the plane supposedly crashed. And this 144 is yet another connection. A search was launched earlier today, but was called off because of bad weather, and it's also now dark there, Barata said. Barata said he would be flying from Jakarta to Papua, along with investigators and search and rescue officials. So let's just go back and decode this real quick. The plane crashed in Oktabi, supposedly, a location with 54 gematria matching the number of people on board, 44 passengers, 10 crew. Also, Indonesia, this is an Indonesian flight. Indonesia has gematria 54, true seeker. This is a number of much focus right now. President Obama just turned 54 August 4th. Again, the scheduled flight from 2:22 to 3:16, 54 minutes. The Transportation Minister, J.A. Barata, who we were just reading about, has name gematria of 54. The airline has gematria of 89 and 98. If you go back and watch my reporting on Andreas Lubitz, I talked about how significant the number 89 and 98 was in that story, and I showed how it connected to Lupercalia, the festival on the 44th day of the year. Lupercalia has Pythagorean gematria of 44, simple English gematria of 98. From Lupercalia to September 23rd, the date the Pope visits, is a span of 222 days, kind of like how this flight departed at 2:22. So what I'm saying is these stories are definitely synced up. The same numbers are coded within, just in different ways. but no doubt part of the same hoax reporting, part of the ongoing narrative. Also, Truth Seeker, this crash came exactly 33 weeks to the day of the December 28th, 2014 missing Asian plane story. I have a video on that. Exactly 33 weeks later, off in the number of the hoax. And between the missing Malaysian plane and that last missing plane, it was a span of 42 weeks. 42 and 33, both numbers with 6 numerology. Very important numbers to these occult numerologists. Airlines and airways, as it happened, both have gematria of 33 and 42. And if you're new here, I've covered so many plane crashes. I've pretty much gone throughout history and decoded every single plane crash there ever was that was reported. They're all on my written blog. I've made several videos, some a lot more interesting than this one because the stories are more interesting. But even going back to the year 1977, there was an MAS missing plane or mystery plane story. It was Malaysian Airlines Systems that were responsible for the last 2 missing planes. March 2014, December 2014. This time it's a different airline. But even back in 1977, these stories were much the same. This is the story from December 4th, 1977. Flight 53 departed on December 4th, 1977 from runway 22 at 7:21 p.m. local time. Per the official story, at 7:54 p.m., that number 54 again, notice the span of 33 minutes from 21 to 54. Exactly 33 minutes after departing, the plane messaged that it was descending for runway 33 at Subang Airport. Then on the radio, gunshots were heard, and the words were "going to Singapore, good night." My point is, Truth Seeker, over the years, time and time again, all these things are coded and synced up with the same numbers. MAS, this airline that was participating in hoaxes in 77 and again in 2014, 37 years later, is an airline with 33 gematria itself. And if you look at their symbol, it looks like a 33. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you. Just show you how this is all synced up by the numbers. We can close by watching the mainstream coverage of this incident. Here we go, Truth Seeker.
That crashed in Indonesia today have been suspended for the night. Transportation officials say the wreckage has been found in the Aktabe district of Papua province. Confirmation that the plane was found came shortly after villagers reported seeing the aircraft crash into a mountain.
This right here, Truth Seeker, this word has gematria of 77, another multiple of 11, another number they love to code into the hoaxes. On September 11th, the biggest hoax ever with airplanes, it was Flight 77 that crashed into the 77-foot tall Pentagon that's located on the 77th meridian, known as the American Meridian.
The search for the plane has been suspended until daybreak because of thunderstorms in the area. Joining me right now is CNN aviation correspondent Richard Quest and also CNN aviation analyst and experienced.
Truth Seeker, if you're not aware, Richard Quest is known to be a legitimate crackhead, and CNN puts him on all the time to just talk bogus bullshit. Let's watch him go right here. No, I'm not kidding. He is a well-known crackhead.
777 pilot Les Aben. All right, so Les, the search has been suspended mostly because of bad weather and the fact that it's nightfall. We're less than an hour away from maybe daybreak. So if there were no reports of fire or smoke from the wreckage, do you believe that the lack of those kinds of signs should point them in a certain direction about what may have happened to that plane?
Well, Frederick, it's a good question, but it's really too early to tell. Witness testimony is often very, very speculative nature and can be very, very sketchy. That's the worst part of the investigation, to be on that party that's involved with witnesses and what they saw. If indeed there was smoke and fire, or the absence thereof. All it could necessarily mean is that there was a limited amount of fuel on board the aircraft. It's really hard to say, and we're dealing with very mountainous terrain, so the foliage may have hid some of the smoldering. If indeed, at this point, we don't even know for sure whether the airplane has crashed. We'll just assume that, but at this point, it's just way too early to say what we might be finding.
And that's only because villagers reportedly said that they thought they actually saw it crash. But then, Richard, I wonder, there are a couple of different investigations going on here, right?
Truth Seeker, I'm pretty sure that Richard Quest is high right now. Pay attention to this guy anytime CNN puts him on. He just talks the most bogus bullshit. I can't even wait to hear him speak right now.
They got to locate this wreckage or, investigate whether indeed it did crash into a mountain. But they're also very concerned. One would think the first priority is if there are any survivors, if there are people to rescue, they've got to get to them. So how do they prioritize these issues?
Oh, it's very simple. It's the difference between an Annex 12 and an Annex 13 investigation. If you want the chapter and verse, Annex 13 is the investigation that looks at what happened and how to prevent it from happening again, whereas number 12 looks at making sure you get to the people. They're the rules and looking at the treaty about getting to the rescue scene to see if there's anybody still alive.
Thanks, Richard Quest. Thanks, mainstream media. With regards to that number 54, Truth Seeker, it's connected to love. And I talk about the occult religion Thelema, that's about do what thou wilt, and love. And they worship the numbers 54 and 93. And again, just to go back to 9/11, recall Flight 93 of 33 passengers and 11 crew for a total of 44 people. These numbers, they love to quote them over and over. In that plane crash from 77, if we went back and looked at more details, there were 93 passengers on the plane. It's over and over the same thing, Truth Seeker, and the lies in our world go, whoops, I don't want Sunday. I just want to show you something about sun. Sun and love both have this gematria of 54. And from doing this research, which I started out by just trying to prove that the media is a deliberate fraud, coding messages, giving us bullshit. But from there, I realized that what I was decoding was a lot bigger than just the nightly news. And I started to see how it stemmed into spirituality, science, history, geography, and more. And the point I want to make with the sun is how in Thelema, they worship the numbers 93 and love is connected to 54, just like sun. We are taught that the sun is 93 million miles away. And for all of my life, I've suspected that that was a hot load of bullshit, and I really think it is. I mean, when you look up at the sun, it sure doesn't look like it's 93 million miles away. And I think if it was 93 million miles away, we would never feel any of its heat. So I just leave you with that last little piece there, just to think about how big the lies are. I think for every day we've been on this planet, we've been lied to, even by people who don't realize they're lying to us because they trust the lies. People who trust the lies, reteach the lies, regurgitate the lies. That extends from our family to our teachers to even fools that go before us on the news. So just wanted to share these details, let you know not to worry. Just another hoax here. Another made-up plane story. Planes, trains, and automobiles. I was talking about how this connected to Lupercalia in September 23rd. With regards to planes, trains, and automobiles, this incident right here has a lot of the same numbers as the Philadelphia train wreck. Remember, that was an Amtrak crash. Also coded with these same numbers, 89, 98. Happened at 9:23 p.m. Again, from Lupercalia, the 44th day of the year, to September 23rd is a span of 222 days. Over and over, Truth Seeker, coding the same numbers in different ways. Alright, until next time.